We just received some crazy news on WWE and WrestleMania 41. It looks like a WrestleMania match is in jeopardy. This is one of the bigger matches on the card. This is one of the bigger matches with a bigger story going into the card, and it looks like it very well could be canceled, which obviously is going to disappoint a lot of people. And let me just be very clear here. It seems like right now this could really alter the WrestleMania card in such a significant way, and only time will tell what WWE will do. But we're going to talk about possible alternatives. Also, a very interesting NJPW departure. Can this person be going to AEW or WWE? And then, of course, we got to talk about Travis Scott. So I think we should actually start off with Travis Scott. Obviously, we saw him at Elimination Chamber. We saw what happened in Toronto. We saw that Travis Scott got involved on WWE programming, right? And we know that he's actually there. We know that, there's been talks of him being more involved with WWE. There's also been talks of him, training to be a pro wrestler, which I think is the most interesting part of this all. But now Dave Meltzer did come out and report that Travis Scott is currently involved with WrestleMania plans. And of course, I think it leads to John Cena winning the 17th championship. I think that is one thing that we really can't ignore. I think, me and Billy have had some really good conversation about this on the live streams, where Billy believes John Cena should lose. I believe John Cena should win. Both of us had made very valid points. However, if John Cena is going to win the 17th World Championship, and this is going to be in the big headlines, obviously with him and The Rock and Travis Scott, that is going to be massive, massive coverage. And that's part of the reason as to why I do believe Travis Scott should go in WrestleMania and be a big part of WrestleMania. I'm sure this is not going to flatter a lot of people. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be disappointed by this because, you would like to think that maybe John Cena would win the championship clean on his own. But the point is, it's a heel turn. WWE is trying to elevate exactly that heel turn. And the way that they're going to do this is by trying to generate as many clicks as possible. So Travis Scott is one of the most streamed artists out there. Very, very popular. A lot of people love Travis Scott. A lot of people enjoy his talents. And the fact that he's even training to be a pro wrestler and willing to take bumps in some capacity, I think is really cool. Maybe Stone Cold Steve Austin were to come out and hit him with a stunner. I don't know. But I think it's definitely expected that this match is going to have a lot of shenanigans. Travis Scott would be involved in that. And who knows, maybe he'll have one of those receipts coming from Cody Rhodes. That is something to pay attention to for sure.
Now would be the best time to remind you that we have a major goal to hit 100,000 subscribers. Over 40% of the viewers who watch this channel are not subscribed. Please click subscribe if you enjoy staying educated on everything with wrestling news.
All right, and that brings us to our next topic. Ladies and gentlemen, TJ Perkins appears to be done with New Japan Pro Wrestling. This is an interesting story, though, because he's not done permanently, but he is not re-signing with the company. Let me clarify. Per Fightful Select, they've come out and they've revealed through sources that TJP was offered a new contract offer with New Japan Pro Wrestling. However, he declined the contract. Sean Ross Sapp also let the world know that despite turning down the deal, TJ Perkins has no ill will with New Japan, and there was no ill will from New Japan to TJP. However, not only did he turn down the contract, he's also not going to be doing the Super Junior tournament. He passed on that. However, it does appear that New Japan Pro Wrestling will still be working with TJ Perkins, however, on a freelance agreement, meaning he is going to be a freelancer. He's not signing with the company. He's got a couple other appearances, but technically he is a free agent and he is leaving the company. He's not staying with the company. He'll work with the company whenever. I think this is a really interesting point that I have to make because, as you guys know, in pro wrestling, AEW, WWE, it doesn't really matter the company. You are an independent contractor. So with TJ Perkins, essentially what he's doing is he's going to work with New Japan. He's not doing the tournament. He's not signing a new deal, but he'll be there for appearances and matches and stuff like that. But because he's not employed by them, and technically because he's not contracted to them, he is free to go anywhere else. So you have to wonder if maybe there is a potential possibility of him saying, hey, I want to test it out a little bit in AEW before I make a signing. Maybe I want to go back to TNA and see if I like, some possibilities there before signing. It seems like he's really taking control of his career in the sense that he's pretty much able to do whatever he wants. And it's interesting because New Japan is basically willing to let him do that while still utilizing his services on a freelance thing. So I think that's pretty cool, man. Honestly, I really like TJ Perkins. I'm not going to lie. I think TJ Perkins is a hell of a talent. I really like a lot of his work that I've seen with him in New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is why it's intriguing to me that he's potentially even gone permanently. But the fact that he'll be there for a little bit, doing some stuff as a freelancer, I think that's cool. I would love to see him back on North American wrestling television, whether it's Impact, whether it's WWE, whether it's AEW, I don't know. You know, I think he's awesome, man. And there's just certain guys out there too. They may not be the biggest name, but they are so skilled and they are veterans where there is a benefit to working with them. And look at Ring of Honor, right? You know, AEW has something pretty cool within the roster of Ring of Honor. If we could start really crafting some big storylines there, maybe TJP can work with AEW and ROH and then also do stuff with New Japan Pro Wrestling, whatever it may be. Just some food for thought. Let's talk about it, guys. Some breaking news. Kevin Owens is reportedly injured, and this is some serious stuff, apparently. Honestly, I don't know, man. I think this is really funny. Not funny in the sense that he's injured. I think it's really funny that there is like this time period that we're currently in where when things are getting good for everybody, injuries begin to happen. We're hearing a lot about this injury bug that's happening across all the companies, which is like, it's so strange how things work because right now there's just a lot of momentum for everybody. But Kevin Owens reportedly is injured and is, at this point, many people don't even know if he's going to be working WrestleMania. PWN has come out with the report. They say that Kevin Owens is reportedly dealing with a serious injury. However, there is no timetable set for his return. You know, him versus Randy Orton is supposed to take place at WrestleMania. And that's a huge story. And this is a match with tons and tons of layers in their story. They've done a really good job of building up this punt thing, right? Like with Randy possibly punting Kevin Owens. If Kevin Owens is not going to be able to compete at WrestleMania, this really hurts WrestleMania. And the reason for that is because what do you do with Randy Orton? For Randy Orton to just come back and then, not have a match at WrestleMania? We're talking about a living legend. It is so complicated here because this storyline has been in the works for so long. How do you pivot with Randy Orton? And I think that's a really difficult task. And I know for a fact that with Kevin Owens, he seems like a guy, despite being injured, he would try his hardest to get back in time. But there's very little info about his injury. And, you know, this is what makes it tough, man. It's what makes it tough. So hopefully it all goes well. Hopefully WrestleMania isn't ruined. But it seems like WrestleMania could very well be ruined with this news. And that is not fun. You don't like hearing about these injuries, these kinds of things with the injuries and stuff. And two, you got to just put it out there. Like I said, it's crazy how the world works. A lot of these companies are catching momentum. We're building some really, really good stuff, and then people are hurt. Jay White is missing Dynasty. Kevin Owens could be missing WrestleMania. Like, you don't like to hear about these things, especially even with today's news earlier with Joe Hendry possibly missing Rebellion. It's really strange, and you don't want to see this kind of stuff. So hopefully Kevin Owens is all right. Hopefully everything works out well, but at this point, there's just too many question marks. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching The Ango Show.